Hey everybody, Tom Vassell here, and we are close to the end of 2016. In fact, Christmas is over. Let's get ready for 2017. But 2016 was a fantastic year in board gaming-dom and for the Dice Tower. And we've had many new people come and watch us and join us. And we hope that you've enjoyed our show. And we want to thank you. And we want to talk about 2017. Next week, a week from today, there will be our first board game breakfast of 2017. And we're going to be starting the Dice Tower fundraiser. Now, I'm calling it fundraiser because specifically the last several years we used Kickstarter, but this year we're going to be moving over to Indiegogo. And we put out thousands of videos each year that hopefully help you learn more about board games and entertain you. And we want to keep these free. That's always my goal, to keep them free. And the fundraiser is a way to help us out. Now, the fundraiser is a way for you to donate to the show, whatever amount you so choose. But at different various levels of donating, there'll be some pretty cool pledge rewards too. We have a lot of promos, and in fact, we're starting to tease what some of those promos are. If you go to our forums at the Dice Tower Guild, go to our website, dicetower.com, and click on forums, and you can see a pinned thread there where I'm going to be showing off 2 of these each day, and there's even more than the ones that I'm showing off, so it's kind of an exciting time. But if you want to be notified about this, because not many people have used Indiegogo before, perhaps, but it's a really good website, and there's a couple benefits. When you did Kickstarter, you had to go through and say, I want this, and I want to add these things on. Now you just get one thing, you go through, but then you can go through and do the same process again. So if you want to do multiple pledges, you can do so in that way. You can also use PayPal, which is a benefit, especially to those overseas. And so just various ways that it's better to work with Indiegogo. If you want to know about when we launch our Kickstarter, our Indiegogo, which is going to be next Monday, I'm planning to launch it at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon. But if you go to the link, we'll put a link down here in the comments, or you can go to our website and find the same link. You can go there, enter your email address, and you'll get an email letting you know when it's about to launch. We won't use this email for anything else. I don't have time to keep all these email addresses anyway. It would only be used for that purpose. So that is coming up. So I'm really excited about that. I got some Q&As today. We'll do a normal Q&A today at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you have some questions for me, ask away. But we'll also be doing one at noon today, Eastern Standard Time. And I'm calling this a town hall. This is specifically talking about the Dice Tower and ways to improve the Dice Tower, or to fix the Dice Tower, or just thoughts on the Dice Tower, or things that you can see. Be kind of a casual flowing conversation between me and you guys. So if you want to see that, that will be today. And I think that's all the different things that I have to get started with. Let's get to the news. Oh, wait, one last thing. I forgot. You like to chat with people real time, like the old IRC chats and things? Well, there's a new chat that we use the Slack program for. Slack is a great program. I use it with the Dice Tower to keep in touch with the contributors. It's a great program. But you can also use it just for chatting and having a lot of fun. And I've already had 200 people sign up for a test Dice Tower chat Slack setup. And it works pretty well, so it's no longer test. It's just happening. So do you want to join these folks? Just email me at dicetower@gmail.com and say I want to be part of the Slack chat or whatever, and I'll add you in. I'll pop in from time to time myself and talk to people. It's an easy way to talk back and forth, maybe play games, or just keep it there in the window. You can check it from your phone. It's a really cool setup. I highly recommend it. All right, now let's get to the news. Okay, so what's happening in the news? Well, first of all, we have a new game from Renegade Games, Fuse Flatline. This is not an expansion for Fuse. This is a separate game in the universe of Fuse, another dice game. In this one, people are coming in a hospital, and you have to keep them from flatlining. I like the theme a lot. Fuse did very well. I don't know how similar the two games are. Rio Grande has announced a Dominion Big Box. They just did the Dominion 2nd Edition and a 2nd Edition of Dominion Intrigue. Well, this Big Box combines those. So if you just bought them both, ha ha ha. I really kind of wish they had announced this earlier for people who wanted to buy both. Foxmind has announced Slide Blast. Now, this is a tunnel connection where you're putting tiles down and building tunnels, but now you're building water slides. I love the theme of this game. It looks really cool. It's, there's a lot of these tile laying games, but building cool water slides, that sounds fun. coming Q2 of 2017. Well, there's a new trailer up from Pretzel Games about the Flick 'em Up Dead of Winter combination. I've already talked some about this, where it's a Flick 'em Up game, but this time you're fighting zombies, and there's even a zombie dice tower of sorts in it. So it's kind of mixing a very, deep, dark theme with a very silly, fun gameplay. Will it work? We'll find out this year. Yeah! Lookout Games has said they will bring back a reprint of Le Havre. It's in my top 10 games. It's an amazing game. So I'm glad now you guys can get it. It's going to come with the expansions in it already. So yippee! Quident Games has announced an expansion for Hospital Connect. The Roll Valley. I mispronounced all that. But the point is, this cool game is getting a reprint. They're doing one version of it. In America, Capstone Games will be doing it. But they also announced that they're Master Print Pocket games. So they had one Master Print Pocket game come out, but they want more. So they're putting out the call for designers and say, we're looking for great games to go into this line. GameRight and CEA Co., which is the owner of GameRight, have donated $3 million to the toy industry in December to give out toys to people who need them and games. So congratulations and good on them. Game Salute and Myriad Games and Ship Naked, they're all different names, but they're all under one big roof, right? And you've probably heard about Myriad Games being sued by Zev, formerly from Z-Man Games. But Myriad Games has just announced that their final store is closing. They went up to 4 at one point, and they're going to be opening a new store in their area, which is going to basically be like a BJ's or Costco or Sam's Club, where you have a membership, but then you'll be able to go in and buy games cheaper, they say, than online gaming stores, which seems like that would tick off pretty much everyone, and seems like a very odd move from Game Salute, who formerly was all opposed to this online deep discounting. So I don't know. We'll find out what happens in that one. And then in the funny news, Hasbro, in the UK at least, set up a hotline for people who have arguments and rules questions with Monopoly. This came from a newspaper, The Independent, which was talking about this, and people can call this, especially during the holiday season. How many game companies do that? But I did find it interesting. They put in the top 10 reasons why people argue, the top 10 causes for arguments in Monopoly games. Yeah, I love top 10 lists. So number 10 was free parking rules. Guess what? Here's the rule. You land on free parking, you have free parking. Nothing else happens. Argument over. Number 9, token choice. Pretty simple. You guys know what I'm at. I'm the hat. Come on now. They would take the hat out of the game. All right. Number 9. Oh, that was number 9. Number 8, the property auction process. Yes, most people play that incorrectly, so I can see why people would argue over that. Number 7, who's the banker? Really? Are people arguing over that? Is it so you can cheat? Who wants... Maybe they're arguing and they don't want to be banker. In most games I play, I say, I'll be banker, and people are very content with that. Or someone else says, I'll be banker. Why would you argue over who the banker is? Number 6, someone deliberately miscounting a space. That's called cheating. Number 5, stealing from the bank. More cheating. Number 4, taking too long. Amen. Just take your turn. It's Monopoly. Number 3, someone buying a property that you want even when they don't need it. Ha ha ha, that's part of the game. Trade it from them then. Number 2, too cocky when you win. Yeah, I can see how that causes arguments. I'm talking to you, Andy and Matthew, my 2 brothers. And number 1, making up rules. Who would do such a thing? Anyway, that's the news. Let's go over to the fundraising side of things.
Happy breakfast, everybody. Crowdfunding and board games has been a mixed bag over the years. At its best, when you support a project, you feel like you're part of something, like you're helping someone's dream come true, or you're contributing to something being made. At its worst, you feel let down by the project creator or have nothing to show for your contribution. Today, we're going to take a quick look at 4 older games that failed their backers and talk about the lessons that you, as a backer, can learn from them. Perhaps the most well-known board game failure was The Doom That Came to Atlantic City. It combined the ever-popular Cthulhu mythos, a strong artistic pedigree, and some rad minis. The campaign raised over $100,000. Ultimately, the money disappeared, and it was likely used for a lot of things not related to getting the game made. One lesson here is take a look at the campaign runner's history of backing projects. Many of the best companies running campaigns are the ones who back campaigns. They understand the experience from both sides and are active members of the crowdfunding world. So when looking at projects, look for makers who are engaged on both sides of crowdfunding. Pirate Den had a lot going for it. Great art, a publisher with a couple games under his belt, and fun gameplay. But somewhere it went wrong. At least one post-funding deal fell apart and backers were left in limbo. But that limbo stemmed a lot from the lack of communication from the publisher. After the first update post-campaign, it was over 6 months before another update, and that's unacceptable. The lesson here is familiarize yourself with the terms and conditions of the crowdfunding platform and your payment platform. If your campaign runner isn't communicating at regular intervals, reach out to them. If there's no reply or an unsatisfactory reply, look into a refund sooner than later, because the longer time stretches on, the fewer options you'll have. Odin's Ravens was a second edition of a popular game and had support because people already knew the game was great. But the maker basically took the money and ran. The lure of Odin's Ravens, which had been out of print and in demand, it was so strong. But if you looked at the history of the maker, you would have seen that Seth Nemec had 4 previous failed projects, including a game that was funded but had pretty problematic post-campaign process, including poor communication, unhappy backers, and an inconsistent final delivery. Make sure to take the time to check out who's making the game and how they've done with previous campaigns. And Ghost Love Candy had a lot going on for it. Fun gameplay, adorable art, and a publisher that seemed experienced. But Fifth Street Games fell prey to kiting, which is when a company uses funds from one campaign to help finish production on a previous project. It's super risky to do and very unfair to backers of both projects. Look at the publisher's history and see if they've delivered on or are super close to delivery on previous projects. Check to see if they have multiple projects running at once. While some companies can pull things like this off, these are definitely signs you should dig in a little deeper on your research before you back. Have you figured out the other reason I wanted to talk about these projects today? While they were spectacular failures, they are also great examples of how awesome and generous companies in this industry can be, and that's why I wanted to highlight them. So while the bad experience can never be really, truly 100% wiped away, let's talk about the angels that swooped in to turn disaster around, and remember that it's groups like this that are truly what help make board gaming great. Cryptozoic Games ensured backers got copies of The Doom That Came to Atlantic City at no additional cost. Cryptozoic, with its numerous IP games, seems like a relatively big company, but it wasn't so big it didn't recognize a need and opportunity within the community. Crash Games saved Pirates Den from warehouse limbo. Crash was just a one-person company, but they loved the game and loved the community and took their chance to fix some of the damage that had been done to both. Osprey Games not only rescued Odin's Ravens for backers and the market, they made it better. The second edition features fabulous art and ravens and is a stellar add to any collection. And finally, Steve Jackson Games brought Ghost Love Candy back from the graveyard. Thanks to them, backers have their copies of this delightful, inclusive, and fun Halloween game. To ensure that you have positive crowdfunding experiences and that you end up with a great game and have a good time waiting for it, look beyond the great art and the cool theme. Do your research and educate yourselves. But also remember that crowdfunding a game can be an incredibly rewarding experience and that game companies can be pretty darn awesome. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week and that you have a great New Year's celebration.
Hi, welcome to Miniatures World. It's the last segment of the year. And what a year we've had. We've painted so many wonderful projects, and you guys have shared so many of your pictures. I've saved every one of them, and I've gone through them, and just looking back at what a wonderful year we had, being able to meet you guys at Gen Con, and of course, hanging with my brothers at the D Tower. You know, how much better could it have been this year? doing Battle and Brushes with Sam, 24-hour marathons, going to cons together. It's been just a wonderful, wonderful year, and I've looked forward to next year, 2017, where we're just going to expand even more this segment, where we're going to be looking at all kinds of different games and miniatures, and also doing some painting stuff as well. I look forward to 2017, and I hope you all are having a safe and wonderful holiday. And I wish you all the best in the coming year. And until next time, I'm Rob Warren. Be safe, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, so what is coming from the Dice Tower this week? Well, we're going to continue our end of the year reprise where we take a look at different top 10s. I'm doing my top 10 small games. We're going to do our top 10 gaming experiences of the year. I'll be taking a look at the top 10 innovative games that I thought came out over the course of the year. But there's also going to be a lot of different reviews coming out. I'll be taking a look at and Kilt Castle and some other, there's just different various games that we're going to be talking about and taking a look at. We might, I don't know if I'll get to this, might be taking another look at Star Wars Destiny this week also. So that's the reviews that are coming out. You'll also be seeing another a Throat Punch launch show from Sam. You'll be seeing some reviews from Sam and Z and different things coming out. So I'm really excited. There might even be some live game playing this week. Don't hold me to that. It might happen though, because, well, I'm not going to say why. But all this is coming your way. You can find out this information on Dicetower.com. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell. Wait, why am I ending the show? We're not ending the show. Let's keep going on. You confused me.
Hello, Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise here, continuing my official completely subjective top list of whatever I decide to put on it 2016 Board Game Flavor Edition. This installment is just brimming with arbitrarily judged and ranked items, so let's not waste any more time. Let's continue. The next item on this list is the It's About Time game. This is the game that I have known about for a long time, but never got around to actually playing until 2016. But now that I have, I am really glad that I did. The game? Teach You. Teach You is a trick-taking card game that was the cornerstone of my last night at BGGCon this year, and I couldn't have imagined a better way to wind down a convention than with a few casual hands of this card game. I'm actually hoping that it becomes a BGGCon tradition between myself and the people I played with this year. If you enjoy trick-taking games or have fond memories of hearts, pinochle, or even cribbage, then take the time to learn about Teach You. Now, I've mentioned before that I grew up playing Risk, and as such, it will always have a special place in my heart. But even so, I'm always on the lookout for games that will serve as a heart transplant and do what Risk does, only better. Well, this year, Cry Havoc by Portal Games did just that. This game has an excellent army building area control aspect, and with no dice to roll. What's that all about? So if you are in the mood for a thought-provoking dudes on a map experience, I think you'll find that there's a reason why Cry Havoc is the item on my list that is, quote, worth the risk. Ha 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 ha! It's play on words. The abstract strategy game, Tsar, has been on my board game wish list for a long time. But just as I was finally about to add it to my collection this year, I played a game called Echo, which takes the foundation of Tsar, but then adds a layer of army building and area control to it. It became an instant favorite of mine. If you enjoy Tsar, then I highly recommend giving Echo a try. It's like Tsar's long-lost cousin, which I'm really glad that I found. That's it for this installment, but join me next time when I'll wrap up my list of arbitrary board gaming selections from the past year, which will include my favorite game that I played for the first time in 2016. Oh, can you feel the excitement in the air? Me neither, but I'll see you then.
Hey folks, every year I make predictions about that year, what's going to happen at the very beginning. So next week I'll be making some predictions for 2017, and I don't even know what I'm going to be predicting yet. But last year, at the very beginning of the year, or this year at the very beginning of the year, I made some predictions about 2016. So it's time to see if those predictions came true. Now I make these predictions, sometimes I got some insider knowledge to some degree, but for the most part, I'm just making things up or using my best judgment, and we see if I'm correct or not. Let's find out. So last year, number 10, I said that there would be a major scandal with a large board game company. I don't know if we saw a major scandal, but we definitely saw a scandal with GameSalute being sued by Zev, Myriad Games, which is run by GameSalute, and effectively him saying that they stole quite a bit of money from him. So that got some decent waves out there. There were also some scandals in regards to how way people handle Kickstarters, but that happens, and I was talking about an established publisher anyway. Number 9, I said all big conventions would grow by 5%. I specifically mentioned Origins, Gen Con, and Essen. Well, technically this did not happen. Essen did grow by 5% for sure. Origins and Gen Con actually both went down a tiny bit, but their per day attendance, their turnstile attendance, both went up considerably. Origins dropped a major Magic the Gathering tournament. Oh, they didn't drop it, but it just moved. The Star City tournament moved away, and that's like 1,000 people, and they almost made up for it completely. So in my book, they still went up. And Gen Con also went up in their turnstile, just down in unique, which I think is better for the convention as a whole. So I'm going to give myself half right on this one. I said that there would be less than 3 legacy games not with Rob Daviau involved, announced in 2016. That even though we would be talking about legacy, and people certainly are, that there would not be that many announced. And that is true. I really don't know of any non-Rob Daviau legacy games that have been announced. I know they've announced Legacy Werewolf, and there may have been another one announced by somebody, but Legacy Werewolf, I believe Rob is working in regards to that one too. And I mean, I guess Gloomhaven 7th Continent might be legacy style, possibly, although I'm going to say they're more like campaign. But either way, I think I'm holding true on that one. Hooray! I said that at the end of the year, Pandemic Legacy would still be number 1 on the Board Game Geek database. I just looked, and they are. Huzzah! Now, I will say that Through the Ages, the new Through the Ages, A New Civilization, certainly gave it a run for its money and is in number 2 spot. But Pandemic Legacy is still doing strong. I said that there would be another big merger that might not be as big as Asmodee and Fantasy Flight, but would be big enough to make us go, what? And talk about it for a while. Well, there was 2 of those. First of all, they bought Catan, which was a pretty big deal, and then they bought F2Z Games. I knew they were buying Catan when I made the prediction, or at least I was pretty sure it was happening. But I did not know F2Z was coming, so I was surprised by everyone else about that one. So I'm doing pretty good so far. I said that the Final Fantasy changes in price, which if you remember, they were just kind of talking about them then. I said that they would make a huge fuss when they went into play, and that in September and October, people would still grumble a little bit, but everyone would be calmed down about them, and that by the end of the year, they would back down on one change. Well, that's 3 predictions. There was definitely a huge fuss when they announced them. I mean, huge. People online, I will never buy their products again. By September and October, it's gone away. People are raving about Star Wars Destiny and Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition and so on and so forth. They're still grumbling, but people have sucked it up for the most part. And I thought that they'd back down on one of the things that they have said. So far, I don't think that they have. They still might in the future. We will see. So I was mostly right on that one, except for the back down on one change. Number 4, I said that at the end of 2016, if you looked at the top 10 rated games on Board Game Geek from 2016, 4 or more of those would be Kickstarter projects. I I definitely got this one wrong. Only one of the top 10, and that was Scythe. Scythe was a Kickstarter project. You have to go down to number 13 to get to the second one, Millennium Blades. Then there was Secret Hitler and Conan, but that's 4, and that took me to number 23. So even though Kickstarter is still a big part of the industry, there's no denying that, it is not dominating it by any means, and one of these years, we will see more Kickstarter games possibly in the top 10 than not, but it was not 2016. I would say that I said that then there would be like 10 to 15 new werewolf-style deduction games, like Secret Hitler and Resistance and stuff. I don't know if I'm right or wrong about this one or not. I know there was at least 7 or 8, but I don't know if there was 10 to 15. There certainly is too many of them. That was kind of a nebulous prediction. Number 2, Magic the Gathering board game, I said, would lose all its steam by the end of the year. I said that over the year they might release 1 or 2 expansions, but that the game would be like, by the end of the year, and that by 2018 the game would be completely gone. And I'm sticking with that 2018 thing, and maybe even 2017, but they are definitely not supporting this game. Hardly at all. They put out an expansion without telling anybody, basically. Over the course of the year, they put out 2 expansions, 1 at the beginning of the year, 1 in the middle of the year, and it was very ho-hum, and the game is getting no buzz that I can see because they're just... I'm right about this one, and they're so very wrong. And number 1, I said that Games Workshop would slowly become known in the board game industry as a board game publisher, and I think that one has come true. I mean, they're still known for Warhammer 40K and for 40, but this year they came out with Blood Bowl and that Gorehammer game, and they reprinted Warhammer Quest and many, many board games, and they're still kind of miniature games, but people are taking a look at them. People are going to the Games Workshop booths at conventions to see what new board games they're being talked about in the industry. They're probably always going to be first and foremost known as a miniature publisher, but definitely people are talking about them as a board game publisher also. Those are my top 10 predictions. I'm feeling pretty good. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I feel like I nailed, and then a couple that I was pretty close on and a couple that I got wrong, but not so bad, which means I'll probably get them all wrong next week. Let's see what my predictions are. All right, let's continue on.
Merry Christmas, all my friends. My name is Niels from Cyril's Brettspiel, and today we are talking about something that is religious, so therefore we are talking about Noah's Ark. It's not Noah's Ark. It's Animals on Board in my best and the worst. My favorite part in Animals on Board is that you only have 2 possible actions. Either you can split one herd into 2 different herds, 1 and 2. Later on, 1 herd into 2 or 1 herd into 2. That's option 1. Option 2 is you have your food tokens here, and for an example, 4 food tokens, you can buy 4 animals and take it into your ark. Now your decision is limited to exactly 2 things. Either split a herd to get a food or take a herd and spend some food. Just 2 actions. And honestly, this is the best possible thing in this game. Just 2 actions. And this game is a poster child to show that only 2 actions are needed for a complete cool game. The only downside I have to say about Animals on Board, and we know it's a little bit Christmas, so I'm in a good mood today, is I wanted to play it again now. Yeah, honestly, I have nothing to criticize on this game at all. See you next time, folks. Thanks for watching this special episode of The Best and the Worst for Christmas. My name is Niels. Have a happy holiday season, and see you next week here on the Board Game Breakfast. Bye bye.
So today on What's on the Shelf, we're looking at 2 shelves that you guys see all the time, because these are the 2 that sit behind me when I do my live Q&As. So here we have the Legend of Drizzt. I already talked about that. I have a lot of these games here in the Dungeons and Dragons universe. Kingsburg. Such a good game. I know they came out with Kingsport, which was very similar, and Alien Frontiers, which I think I liked a little better than Kingsburg, although I kind of waffle back and forth on the two of them, which one I like better. I'm excited about the new version of Kingsburg coming out soon, but a great game. Marco Polo. Yeah, that's right. Take that, people who say I don't like Euros. Marco Polo is straight up Euro, but I love it because everyone has their own special power, which is very unique and different, and I love the expansion. Also, mine is blinged out. Stockpile. Stockpile is a fun stock market game. I've been raving about this one for a couple years now. Navu Games just did a great job on this one. Battle Lore 2nd Edition. Like, one of the most frequently asked questions I get are, is this game dead? I don't know. But even if it is dead, there's a lot of stuff in here. I'll be able to play with this for a very long time. Asking for Troubles. This is a worker placement game that not a lot of people talk about. It's very orange. But I really like what this company has done. It looks really good, and it's fun and works for kids and for other folks. Coliseum. You hear me talking about Coliseum all the time. From Days of Wonder. The reprint is coming out from Tasty Minstrel this year. I'm going to not hold my breath on that one. It might be great, but this one is great and a lot of fun. And then Seasons. You also see, I noticed I stuck the Orleans expansion is up here. You'll see Orleans in a future week. But anyway, Seasons here, just a great 2 to 4 player card game. I like it with all of those number of players. I think it scales very well. It has almost a Magic the Gathering feel to it. Just a neat game with some really incredible artwork. And so that, this week, is what's on the shelf.
Hey, this is Mike with the Board Game Makeover. Thank you for everybody who responded to the Splendor retheming and giving me more than 100 ideas to choose from. I didn't realize there'd be such a huge response to that, but I'm really glad because the ideas just keep coming and it's amazing. And these are some of the ideas of which I'm going to choose a theme from. They include adventure themes, board games, Disney, fantasy. There were lots of food ideas, Futurama, Harry Potter, holiday themes, Marvel, DC, and other superhero themes, music themes, My Little Pony themes, Pokemon themes, city building themes, The Simpsons themes, of course, Star Wars themes, swap meet type themes, Willy Wonka themes. And as you can tell, this list just keeps on going on and on. And thank you so much for everybody who responded. And I just really appreciate the kindness behind all the responses, and some of the detailed responses are just amazing. They just blows me away. I mean, I could just basically take your response and make the entire game off of that. But anyway, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one, and I'm going to retheme it, and then whoever I pick, whoever gave me the first idea for that is the person who's I'm going to send this to you, but I'm also going to send you the original game itself of Splendor. So you're going to get the Splendor game plus the retheme. That way you have the game itself, plus you'll get my fan-made theme of it too. Thanks for watching the Board Game Makeover. We'll see you next time.
Today we're going to be looking at some Star Wars bags here. These are made from a little shop on Etsy called Origami Panda. They're based in the UK, but they said they'll do their best to keep prices low for shipping for the US. So these are Star Wars themed, at least the ones that I'm looking at here. You know, the big hot game of the moment is Star Wars Destiny. So you don't need a bag to play the Star Wars Destiny, but you can store everything inside here and carry it around. So I got this one here. This one here has the different ships on it. I really like this. They have nice. By the way, these are really good quality bags. I really like that. Yeah, this one has the Force Awakens. It shows some of the new stuff in Star Wars. And then here's more of a mini one if you just want to carry a few things around in them. And in fact, we're going to be giving one of these away as a prize at some point. How are we going to give this away as a prize? I guess you'll have to find out. Maybe you should join our Slack channel. So anyhow, that is some bags from Origami Panda.
Hello, my name's Dan, and this is Cora, and we're here today to talk to you about board games for children of around 5 and under. Today, we're talking about this game. Look at the monster. What's it called, Cora?
Quackalacka.
Crackalackalacka, or, in English, Bugs in the Kitchen. Let's see how it plays.
In Bugs in the Kitchen, you're a cook at a rather dubious restaurant.
who's frantically trying to trap a cockroach by making an elaborate maze for it out of cutlery. Although, to be honest, it's probably best if you don't think about the logic of this game too much. On your turn, you roll a dice, then you turn whatever the result is, a knife, a fork or a spoon, in order to guide the frantically skittering cockroach towards your trap. The person who traps a cockroach a total of 5 times is a winner. Alternatively, you can play a little more aggressive version, where you're trying to persuade the cockroach to go towards your opponent instead. This is a really fun and silly game, and has gone down very well with adults I've played it with too. If you do get this game, then make sure you keep the Hexbug's battery nice and fresh, as nothing's as disappointing as a lacklustre cockroach limping slowly around your kitchen.
Yay!
So, Cora, do you like this game?
Yes.
What do you like about it?
I like the bug. When you hold it and it's switched on, it goes zzz.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's got a really nice toy factor. Bzzz. I like that bit as well. This is a game I take to my normal adults board game meetings as well now and again because it's a lot of fun.
And one of the games we did of this game, it keeps on going Dad's way to my Dad's way.
Yeah, well, it took ages. Sometimes it's over in a flash, and sometimes the cockroach just doesn't want to move. So I give this game 2 thumbs up. Cora, 2 thumbs up.
Hey, it's question time with Tom.
And Jason.
And today's question is from Ray. And Ray says, what do you do? How bad is it when you go to conventions, when you get games and open them up, and they're missing or have damaged components? How often does that happen? Blah, 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 blah. Now, I don't play games at a lot of conventions, but some conventions are really bad about it. In fact, the worst place I notice this happening is game stores. I can't tell you how many game stores I go and I have a library and you open a box and there's just piles of missing pieces.
Because at a game, it's different in a game store. Because at game stores, they usually don't have someone who manages that. There's just a bunch of games that are thrown on a shelf,
right?
And people play them and don't care enough. When you go to most conventions, people really care, and whether you go to Dice TerraCon or Board Game Geek Con, which both have big, extensive libraries, there's people always monitoring the library. You're handing in the games. A lot of times, they will check the game for the components when the game is sent back into the library again to make sure that the pieces were returned properly.
At Board Game Geek, they had this little bulletin board with little bagged pieces saying, I'm looking for my game.
Yes.
And so you could do that, and then you're like, oh, I'm missing a piece. Well, go check that bulletin board. Oh, there it is. At Dice TerraCon, every morning at 7 o'clock, I would wander in, and the person would be like, all right, Tom, here's the pieces we found. And I'd be like, that's that game. I have no idea what that game is. And it would be like a game for me, but we try to get the pieces back in their correct games. And it's a real pain, and you know what? There's attrition that happens. A convention is going to lose games over time because they're going to miss out on the pieces.
Yep.
Or sometimes you will have a Batman card stolen from a game that you're running.
That was a different convention we were at.
Yeah, we were at a comic book convention, basically, and me and Jason were running a game room, and someone stole the Batman card.
From the DC deck building game when it had first come out.
Didn't they steal one other card? Something else got stolen too.
No, it was Batman. Oh,
but there was another convention where the Enterprise got stolen from a Star Trek game. People, it's like, come on, guys.
But I remember that because we're like, wait a second, where did Batman go?
They left Superman and Green Lantern there, but Batman was stolen.
Yes.
I think Batman left of his own accord. But anyway, these sort of things happen. It's usually not nefarious like that was bad. But for the most part, it's usually just, hey, it's wear and tear. A piece falls on the floor. You don't notice it. You're moving around. Later on, someone finds, especially if it's a cube. What game does this red cube go in? All right. Anyway, that's what we've noticed. It's not that big of a deal, especially when a convention's on the ball.
And most games, you might not need... Some games you need every single piece, but a lot of games they give you extra cubes, or if there's not the max amount of players, you might not need those pieces anyway. And if there's a missing red cube, just play yellow.
There you go.
Hi guys. The end of the year is upon us, and if your family is anything like my family, it might be a bit more stressful than you would like. You've got to plan where are you going to be, on which Christmas day, do you have the presents for really everyone this year, and then of course, what is for dinner and do I need to make any preparations for it? On top of that, I am on tour with my comedy Christmas special with my colleagues from Opsterk Water in the Netherlands. So there's barely any time. The pressure is on. So this week I am playing a game that is all about fighting the clock, making sure you get out before the timer reaches 0. This week I am playing Exit the Game. Exit the Game is an escape room that you play at the table. You will try to solve a series of puzzles, and when you think you know the answer to a certain puzzle, you enter the code on the decoder disc, and that disc will point you to a card. There's a very clever system that the designers have built in just to make sure that you're looking at the right answer of the right question that you're trying to solve. Oh, that's very important to tell you. You can only play this game once, because once you know what the puzzle is, once you know what the solution is, of course the puzzle is no fun anymore. And second, you will destroy components of the game. So it's a legacy game in that aspect. If you are stuck at a level, there are hint cards that can slowly point you in the right direction without ruining the game for you. At the end of the game, you stop the timer and look at the score sheet and see how well you've done, and maybe post it online and try to compare yourself to how well others did. It is an exhilarating experience that I can highly recommend. There are at this moment 3 games from this Exit the Game series that you can get. At this moment only in German, but they will be published in English starting spring of 2017, so keep your eye out for that. They are all designed by the powerhouse couple Inka and Markus Brandt, so seasoned game designers, and really I recommend them. Exit the Game. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
So before I started working at Snakes as a guru, one of the first games I was introduced to here was Ghost Blitz. And like most people, when you first start playing Ghost Blitz, you're not very good at it.
Ghost Blitz is a game I really adore, but kind of have a love-hate relationship with.
Ghost Blitz is awesome. It's a speed logic game that is deceptively challenging. A lot of the time when people see it at the cafe, they think that I'm giving them a children's game, but it can be played by any age, and there's this wonderful learning curve to it.
Yeah, it's a game that requires fast reflexes and faster thinking, 2 things which I don't really possess.
But as you play the game more and more and more, you start to see the patterns really quickly, and it becomes very, very fun.
To give you an idea, some of the cards, you're trying to find an item that is on the card. There's a grey mouse in the game, there's a grey mouse on this card, so you're grabbing for that. That's not too bad. But the problem is the other kinds of card where this one does not have white or a ghost, so the white ghost is the thing that you actually want to find. My brain can't see that fast enough, and anybody who plays me at this game will obliterate me every single time.
So I feel like my best, I guess, tactic with the game is to play a little bit of defense and generally slap away or visually distract from other people's ability to deduce what the right selection would be.
We sell more of this game than anybody else in Canada, possibly even North America, and our distributors don't know how we do it. The way we do it is because we make everyone play it. If it's your first visit to Snakes and Lattes, you're going to play Ghost Blitz.
Specifically for patrons who have come in, don't know gaming terribly well and want to try something new. This is something the likes of which they haven't seen before, and the reaction it gets from them pretty much every time is always positive, laughter and enjoyment, and that from my perspective as a guru is fantastic.
A lot of the time I find when I'm teaching it to people, the people who have played it before are so much more skilled and fast at it, and so it's interesting. It's really easy to learn, but there's so much more depth to it in how good you can get.
A couple of years back, they came out with Ghost Blitz 5 to 12, and if you are a Ghost Blitz fan, you must get this game. It includes 2 of every color object, which creates a much more difficult style of Ghost Blitz. There's also a couple extra rules that I think are really great, including if you see an object reflected in a mirror, regardless of color, you just grab it. And if you ever see the ghost and the clock in the same picture, you don't grab anything, you yell out the time on the clock. And it's an analog clock, which screws everybody up when they're playing the game. So I highly recommend this game. If you like a nice, fast-paced filler to start your game evening, Ghost Blitz is a fantastic game.
I like to play with people who are very sleepy. I feel like that helps my strategy as well. So playing in the cafe setting is generally not great for me because people are generally somewhat caffeinated. I think that's probably all I've got.
I almost have to look at this from two perspectives to pick my favorite of the year. And we always say this is a show about games, board games, card games, but especially the people who play them. And so
Oh, hey, Tom's supposed to be sending me some files for the end of the year show, but they haven't come through yet. But that does give me just enough time to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I hope you have the best of 2017s. Thank you for all of your time spent listening and watching the Dice Tower. We'll try and do just as much, if not more, for you next year. Thank you.
Hey folks, thanks so much for watching Board Game Breakfast. 2016 was a great year, and I really appreciate all you folks sticking with us for that long. Board Game Breakfast has been around for 3 years essentially now at this point, and it's a show that I really like doing. It certainly is a lot of work putting it together each week, but I don't know, I just kind of like to see that. I want to say a big thank you to all the contributors. Not all of them were able to make it for the show because of the holidays, but I do appreciate everybody who has helped out, whether it was just a couple Board Game Breakfasts or every time. Some of these guys send me something every week, and that is fantastic. If you like Board Game Breakfast, I really recommend you check out Board Game Blender or Throat Punch Lunch. They're essentially the same show, just one's run by Sam and one's run by Z, so they have a different look or take on things, but they also have some fabulous contributors on their show. Well, anyway, I'll see you guys back for the live Q&As and Town Hall later on today. I will see you probably in the comment section, maybe on the Slack live channel, and I hope definitely to see you next week for our big 2017 fundraiser. Guys, I really appreciate it again. Have a wonderful rest of 2016. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell. This has been Board Game Breakfast on the Dice Tower.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vassell and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock at CoolStuffInc.com.